Viribus Unitis was a dreadnought battleship constructed in 1910 for the Austro-Hungarian Navy. She fought in the First World War, supporting German ships on a number of occasions before meeting her end in 1918, when two Italian officers conducted a night raid at the naval base she was moored at and placed limpet mines on her hull. Today, Viribus Unitis, which means with United Forces, lives on at Tier 5 in World of Warships. 12 12-inch guns mounted in 4 triple turrets give Viribus Unitis the capability to throw an impressive weight of shot every 30 seconds, dealing a maximum of 8,500 damage. This combination of light shells with a high initial velocity renders even thinly armoured cruisers susceptible to being printed as a devastating strike medal. Whilst the heavy armour and large torpedo bulges of some Tier 5 dreadnoughts have a tendency to shatter and bounce some rounds, the sheer volume of outgoing shot ensures that reliable damage can be dealt per salvo. This is a ship that you will want to fire AP in. Not that Viribus Unitis' high explosive rounds fall particularly short, but their 23% fire chance is unimpressive compared to the raw chunks of hit points you can tear out with traditional battleship ammunition. Only when going up against angled targets and destroyers should you reach for button 1. What holds this impressive main battery back is the slow turret traverse speed and inferior firing arcs. In a similar manner to the Tier 10 Grosser Kurfürst, Viribus Unitis must expose an uncomfortable amount of broadside to make use of her rear guns, and I advise planning your turns in advance before bringing all your turrets to bear. That said, this is a ship that can play very favourably when well positioned. Ensure your guns are loaded before swinging the rudder over, and remember that your forward guns alone can wreak havoc on many an unwary enemy. Speaking of forwards, it is important to mention one of her greatest strengths. 150mm of solid plate is wrapped around the lower half of the bow, rendering Viribus Unitis entirely invulnerable to overmatching citadel hits from anywhere closer than mid-range. When approaching bow-in or angled, this ship laughs in the face of the red team's AP and then hands it back with a vengeance. However, this level of protection cannot be found everywhere. Like other early dreadnought battleships, she employs a distributed armour scheme coupled with a small amount of superstructure. But her crippling weaknesses are the upper casemate and thin bow and stern plating. These casemate secondary guns are wonderful for catching shells and eating up massively punishing hits, and, what's more, they run for almost full hull length. Whilst thick armour provides some degree of protection, this abundance of flat surfaces is heaven sent for any ship that can catch you in a turn. From here on, it doesn't get much better. The citadel is turtle-backed, but sits high out of the water and has diagonally sloped cheek plates, which welcome large caliber shells with open arms. This vulnerability can be moderated by staying angled at mid-range, but it is advisable not to brawl unless your enemy has little health remaining. Play carefully through the opening minutes, and you will be rewarded in the late stages of the game. Vertically speaking, her thick casemate deck provides a better defense against bombs, but the torpedo protection is straight up bad, and repeated strikes will wear you down. A counterfoil to her slow speed and turret traverse is the rudder. During her career, Viribus Unitis was known for being a compact ship for the armament she carried, and this was highlighted by her small size and length to beam ratio. Though capable of only 20.5 knots, her turning circle is small and she responds fairly to the helm, allowing you to weave between islands and dodge torpedo salvos ahead of time. Not to be forgotten is her excellent 12.5km surface detectability, which can be dropped to 11km with the Concealment Expert Commander skill. Coupled with the new Brisk skill, this can raise her speed to almost 23 knots, but I recommend instead building into survivability. In fact, no Tier 5 battleship has a smaller health pool. There are tier 4 battleships with considerably more hit points, which makes sense when you consider Wargaming originally intended to sell Viribus Unitis as a tier 4 premium, and named her bow armour as the reason for her low amount of health. They weren't entirely wrong, but there are better ways to balance a ship. Nevertheless, despite the terrible teams I was matched with during my reviewing period, the damage numbers do speak for themselves. One area where she suffers immensely is the AA department. Armed with a grand total of 4 70mm guns that have a range of 3 kilometers, they will struggle to shoot down even one aircraft per battle and are worth wasting no modules or skills upon. Equally lacking in quality is the secondary battery, which is small in number and short in range. Build instead into your main battery and survivability, where the returns are much greater. Like any ship in her category, she can struggle to make an impact on the game when double up-tiered. Using her concealment to both engage and avoid the enemy is the most suitable method of survival, and choosing the right moment to shoot will give much better chances of avoiding return fire. Here is where you will feel the negativity of her low 16km range the most, but it becomes a necessity when she is top tier. In a good position, an experienced Viribus Unitis can and will lay down a crippling hail of gunfire sufficient to make any enemy think twice and turn tail. The characteristics of her main battery are very familiar with players who are used to higher tier battleship gameplay, displaying both accuracy and reliability, and would come close to the label of overpowered were it not for the drawbacks of her health and her speed. In the premium shop, Viribus Unitis sits alongside Oktyabrskaya Revolucja and Texas. She is available for £14.91, or in the armory for an exact conversion of 5,300 gold. And although the armory coupon enables a 25% discount, I would suggest saving that for higher tier premiums. What do I find troublesome about this ship? Unless you're a fan of European destroyers, you won't have a commander with any number of skill points sufficient to get a decent build going. It's almost nonsensical that she isn't considered a German premium, as the ability to deploy German captains aboard would be a massive bonus. Why wouldn't I recommend this ship? Viribus Unitis rewards game knowledge and strategic positioning, but her small health pool, unattractive gun angles, lack of AA and susceptibility to HE spam will combine to make every battle hell for new or inexperienced players. Don't buy this ship if you want a commander trainer or credit printer, or an easy ride through the low tiers. What makes this ship worth it? She embodies the spirit of World War I dreadnoughts and deals damage the old-fashioned way, but is surprisingly good at sneaking up on those who least expect it. Offering, in a way, a taste of the higher tiers, she will teach you how to play and how not to play the game. For the long-term player or collector, Viribus Unitis is a beautiful ship that has strong roots in the past. Traditional in aesthetic and packing a very heavy broadside in addition, she offers a refreshing breather from the power-thirsty thunderstorm Tier 10's become lately. That is, as long as you can rely on your team. In defiance of my weekend gameplay, which involved some of the worst teams I have ever seen, this ship has performed above my expectations. I hope to continue taking her out whenever I like, and I also hope that sharing my experiences will prove useful to you. Until the next time, through weather foul and fair, happy hunting on the high seas.